My name is KG, and you're currently hanging out with me until noon because there's a couple of interviews coming away. And the first one, both interviews are about safety, but the first one, this is something that's very, very important, especially we go into the monsoon season because we're going to be talking about landslides, and we are talking with people in authority who can actually discuss about this. We have Dato Engineer Dr. Mohd Asbi bin Othman, who is the committee member with the Board of Engineers Malaysia. We've also got Dr. Yean Chin, who's also a committee member with the Board of Engineers of Malaysia. They have both joined me today to talk about this, and we're going to be talking about landslides because we know Malaysia has had landslides before and very catastrophic at that. And right now, let's say hello to them. Good morning, Dato. Good morning, Doctor. How are you today?
Thank you for having us.
All right. So it's an absolute pleasure having the both of you here today. And you know what? There's a lot that we're going to be talking about, but our focus will be landslides, right? So what causes landslides in Malaysia? In other words, what are the main triggering agents of landslides in Malaysia? Doctor?
I think most landslides are rainfall induced. Malaysia, like any other tropical countries, is experiencing high annual rainfall in excess of 3,000 millimeters or 3 meters of rainfall in a year. Hence, slopes are inundated, on a yearly basis. And soils get soaked and saturated, coupled with inundation taking place such as cracks and broken drains and culverts, can initiate movement of large volume of soils with great speed and deadly and devastating effects. In a nutshell, rainfall is the main cause of or triggering agent for most landslide in Malaysia. If you look at some of the landmark landslides in Malaysia, from the Highland Towers to
Batang Kali,
most recent Batang Kali, they are all actually had a very prolonged and heavy rainfall prior to these two incidences.
And this is something like what Bruce Lee said right back in the day, be like water. I think he understood what is water exactly is. It is dangerous, especially when it comes to, when you do development, but you don't take into account all of the factors, because there will be some factors that sometimes can be overlooked. But if you don't take into account all of the factors, a lot of danger comes our way, and especially in a tropical country like ours, although we are not being affected by earthquakes, except maybe Sagamat recently, right?
Yes.
But it is a terrifying notion because a lot of development within, like as we were talking before, right? A lot of development now is concentrated in urban areas, and they have to build, as engineer said, it has to be built on places where the plot ratio is much higher, so they can actually get money back. So a lot of development happens on a much smaller plot of land, and all of that. But how do we ensure that? How do we ensure public safety, especially when there is a commercial value that they need to adhere to, there is something that they need to get back? But how do we ensure public safety against landslides? Should there maybe more public programs? Should there be more education to increase public awareness on landslides?
Okay, basically on the public safety aspect, currently our laws and guidelines available from our country to do development on hillside are abundant. They are enough and sufficient. So what is important is that currently they will make sure that any land, once it's classified as a hillside, let's say they have a slope of certain percentage exceeding 25 degrees or exceeding 35 degrees, after the classification, they will impose a certain standard, safety standard in designing, constructing, and after that, maintenance of the slope. So in summary, as we know, any development before they start, there's supposed to be a planning.
Definitely.
After the planning, you have to consider your planning on the flat land and your planning on the hill land is totally different.
Yes.
So that has been taken into consideration. So in summary, good planning, then followed by good design. That means you have a proper engineering design taking care of the slope stability, like what Dato Asbi has highlighted. Try to take away water as fast as possible. Try not to let it infiltrate into the ground. So that's why slopes do not like water. I always tell in layman term, if you can prevent water from going into the slope itself, or take it away fast enough so that it don't go into the slope itself, you actually solve most of the problem. So that is one aspect in design. Then during construction, do it properly. And then after that, that is a very important aspect in Malaysia for especially all the people who living near the slope. All slopes need to be maintained. That means you need to check for any crack drain on the slope. You need to check for any crack so that you take action before it's too late. So that is what they call that safety aspect has been taken care of.
Preventative maintenance.
Yes.
All right. So, Dato, what are some of the standards in play today to make sure that our hills, or say, because the Board of Engineers are very, very closely involved with this, what are some of the safety standards that are already in play that to make sure that incidents such as Highland Towers, they don't happen again?
Okay, for new development now, it's already becoming an act where submission has got to be carried out with the approval of an accredited checker for development of hill slope. Anything in class 3 or 4, which is the slope which is more than 25 degrees,
Okay.
has to have an endorsement of an accredited checker. It has already become a law. So it is called Act 133. So all this development, if it's on the flatland, you don't need to actually look at this clause. But if you are doing development on a hillside, you need an accredited checker to get approvals for your development. And I think to add to what Dr. Tan was saying just now, publications, for example, public awareness. I like to actually go on this abbreviation, LMMR, which is learn, monitor, maintaining, and report. So LMMR, you got to learn. Public has got to be aware of the dangers. And there's a lot of publication already in public domain. For example, JKR, Public Works Department, JKR Slope Master Plan. And we have also MPAJ various guidelines on looking for symptoms, for example, leaning trees, water which is seeping in to the slope. And then you have unusual water flow patterns, for example, which you had not experienced before. So these are the things they call symptom. No slopes can be designed and last forever without you inspecting it and maintaining it. It is very useful. Like, for example, our body. Can we leave our body, to be healthy without going for a checkup?
We don't know.
So yes, correct. So slopes is no different. We have to look after our slopes. If we live by the seaside, we worried about erosions and all that. We monitor all the waves and all that. But on the slope, you have to be equally vigilant to be able to be to the dangers that is around us.
All right. Dr. Tan, anything you would like to add to that?
Basically, what I want to add to Dr. Asbi is that actually the public can use the internet, just search slopes, signs of erosion, or slide or landslide or whatever, or visit the MPAJ website, because I always encourage them to look at the MPAJ website. They have this guideline to let you how to inspect.
So can I just ask, what is MPAJ?
Majlis Perbandaran Ambang Jaya.
Oh yeah, they have to face this a lot, so I understand.
So they have quite a good guideline so that public can access, and then you can see signs. Actually, they do it in graphical format. That means in a cartoon or in a photo that public without any background in engineering or they can understand. So once you see those signs, that means something likely to happen, not immediately, some are immediately, but happen. So you have to either report to the authority, or if you know that the drains are cracked and the what they call it, tree are falling, these are things that you must start to take action. And a lot of time, I would say, especially in developed area, landslide can be prevented if the public who are staying there have this awareness.
So, yes, sir.
I would like to actually echo what you said earlier about preventive maintenance. And I like that word, which is preventive maintenance. Because if you look at highway concessionaires, highway concession like Plus or Suke or Prolintas, they have slopes as part of their assets.
Yeah.
So they cannot afford to have any failures because when the highway is closed, they lose their income. like what happened, you remember, in 2003, there's a big rockfall onto NKVE, and the North Klang Valley Expressway at that section had to be closed for 6 months, if you remember.
I was back in school. I do not remember that incident, so unfortunately.
So between that, Jalan Duta and Damansara and
That is a major
it's
artery, yeah.
It's a major artery, and it caused a lot of traffic jam in Kuala Lumpur as a result of that section being closed. And it's a major blow to them because it's a huge disruption to their income. So it is their prerogative to actually maintain the slope, to actually carry out preventive maintenance, because it is not just an embarrassment to have a landslide.
Yes, true.
But
A major commercial damage.
correct. But when you do preventive, it is, what is the cost of actually clearing drains and culverts and things like that, as compared to a massive landslide that you had to do a lot of clearance and remedial work, which cost millions to actually repair. So this is actually, well, that's why I said, I would like to actually echo what you said on preventive work. Prevention is better than cure. Once it has already, you have already got a heart attack, right?
Yeah.
You're going to be in ICU.
Yeah.
But if you were doing preventive, go for inspection, regular inspection, at a certain frequency, twice a year or once a year, then you can avoid, or rather, ensure that your body is actually healthy and kept in check.
Like, for instance, talking about highways, right? We always see when we pass by the highways, I've always had questions like, why are there some parts cemented? Why are there certain parts with rods inserted into it and all that? But these are all part of it, trying to make sure that the land doesn't fall off from where it's supposed to be. Like, for instance, in Kesas, I think there's a very steep slope somewhere near Puchong, which I always pass by and I'm like, I never understood why, but now I do, because it is to make sure that the landslide never happens in that area. But how does the Board of Engineers come into play when there is a landslide or there is an incident happen? Like, for instance, when Batang Kali happened, or Batang Kali was on a campsite that was not exactly governed well. But let's talk about the Highland Towers. How does the Board of Engineers come into play during that time frame?
Okay, maybe I just want to explain what are the role of Board of Engineers overall first. Board of Engineers is a regulatory body under the Registration of Engineers Act, which is an act in the Parliament to give the Board of Engineers the what they call it, the power to register all engineers in Malaysia. If you graduate from a university, if you want to do engineering work, either it's civil, mechanical, electrical, or in the factory, the law requires you to register with the board. So the board register all engineers, and the board also conduct what I call it, examination and also acceptance of engineer to become a professional engineer.
With the IR.
With the IR. A professional engineers, then only you are able to do design and submit to authority for any development. That is what they call it, a standard that to make sure that the engineer reach a certain standard and experience before they are allowed to do development. They do work that affect public interest and public safety. So this is the board's role. So board, like what Dr. Asbi has explained, accredited checker. So a lot of public will be concerned, what is this accredited checker? Accredited checker, there are two types of accredited checker under the registration under the Board of Engineers. One is called geotechnical accredited checker, and one is called structural geotechnical engineer, structural accredited checker. Currently, the Act 133, which is Street and Drainage Act, has incorporated geotechnical accredited checker, which will cover slopes, deep basement. All these require them to check the design before the authority will allow you to develop or allow you to start work. So board is to register an engineer and to make sure engineers do their work and not violate any code of ethics or professional conduct. Come to landslide. When any landslide or whatever happen, usually is the Bomba, JKR are involved. If they need any specialist, that means they want to say that, okay, this landslide, I better consult a specialist, they can always contact Board of Engineers. We have our full registration and we will know who are the specialists available, then we can help them. But For us to directly go in, usually we do not do that. The board do not do, because it's a different role and function.
Oh, so it's like this. Like Bomba is the doctor, and you guys are the specialists that will give the idea why it happened.
If they consult us, we can't barge in and say that, no, we come here and tell you what to do. No, because there's two different jurisdictions.
Yeah, that is understandable. But the knowledge base does lie with the Board of Engineers
We
as
have
well.
all the list of specialists.
Because you have your checkers, and
Yes.
those are the most important people right now, because without them, certain constructions that might not be safe can even bypass the law and be done, right? So that is very interesting. I never knew there was such a strong regulatory body just for engineers in Malaysia. Wow, they cannot run anywhere. Code of ethics is very, very strong, right? Right, so we are coming up, monsoon season's coming up. We are already towards the end of the year. So, Dato, can you tell us what are some danger signs to look for around our houses in preparation for the coming monsoon?
So, like I explained earlier, KG, there are slopes sometimes give you, like our body, it gives you symptoms.
Symptoms, yes.
Like, for example, you have some chest pain, or you have a headache, and things like that. Slopes, being inundated on a yearly basis, slopes actually moved. And if you look at the rainfall records for Highland Towers, the Highland Tower is a good example. I have checked at the antecedent rainfall, that means the rainfall before the incident, before the landslide. It was not something which is not abnormal. It is not abnormally high. And people are saying, hey, even though it occurred in December, we had worst rainfall before, and the slope stood. But now, how could this slope actually fail and topple Block A of Highland Towers? So the question is this: the slope being inundated on a yearly basis, drains cracked, tension cracks start to develop, the movement of soil caused a lot of cracks in the slope itself, retaining walls being damaged, drains being broken by all this movement. And this actually create situation where it is, on a yearly basis, is getting from bad to worse. It doesn't have to take a big rainfall. Once it gets to a situation where I would call it a threshold level, then it would slide. It would slide because of a combination of many things. But you must remember that this slope had been inundated over years. That's why we want to emphasize the need to actually maintain, monitor, inspection of the slopes. All the property owners, whether you are living in a condo, where the joint management board and all that have to be vigilant, and to ensure safety of the residents of the condo. If you live on the hillside, you have to look at the slopes around you and the surroundings. There's no two way about it. You have to look at that. And if you are just a property owner, for example, like Highland Towers, the landslide did not occur on the slope which is in the Highland Tower itself. The slope actually belonged to the landowner or somebody else. So I do not want to elaborate who the landowners are. But if you own a land and it's sloping, you have the responsibility to ensure that your property is not only safe, but safe for your neighbor. So that's very important.
Right, yeah, that is very understandable. Sometimes, like, it's my land, I can do whatever I want with it. But then when your land affects another person, that is also a very big problem, because down the road you are open to civil suits and all of that. Dr. Tan, is there anything that you would like to add on to Dato?
Yes, I would like to alleviate the fear of those people staying in the hill land. Because if you listen like that, I'm
very scary.
I'm very worried. To be honest, based on the current engineering design approach and what has been constructed, basically those who are those projects that's been engineered properly and constructed properly, actually they are safe. What we are trying to promote, to tell the public, is that please don't take for granted of no maintenance. If you do the maintenance, that means you must make sure that your joint management board and whatever, if you have a slope, they have people to climb out and they have people to inspect. If they see signs and small things that start to crack, you repair it. And then after 1 month crack again, that means you must have people constantly go up on the weekly basis or monthly basis, because by sending people out, by taking photograph, actually what Hong Kong has a very simple form that can be called layman guideline for maintenance. That means it's meant for layman. You are no need to be highly educated. You just have to know, if I crack, I take a photo and then I will repair it. And then the committee who in charge of this property will know that, okay, after I repair the crack, it doesn't move anymore. Or I repair a crack on the drain. The next day it crack again. The next day it become bigger. Then I know that is a sign telling me the slope are moving.
Yeah.
And just like a human body, once you know you climb the stairs, you start to sweat. Even you climb 5 steps, you start to sweat. That's a sign telling you something is coming, something is not right. Then you have to consult to inform the authority or get engineers. Many projects with gross slope, they do get engineers to come and inspect for them if they worry. And even Hong Kong has a guideline saying that all hill land project, let's say you have a slope and retaining wall, you should have engineers inspection every 5 years. That is in their law. But Malaysia, no such law yet. But for awareness, you can do that, and it doesn't cost that much. It costs maybe 10,000 and 15,000, or things range like that, depending on how big your inspection area. Then the report will tell you, on the visual inspection, because on a specialist eye, by looking at this, they will tell you, no, this one can be maintained. You just touch it up. Then if any big sign again, then only you need the engineer. Or sometimes they tell you, based on this, looks like the slope is failing or the retaining wall is failing. Better do the strengthening before it happens. So in summary, a lot of landslide is preventable if someone looking at it doesn't mean an engineer. So start from layman. If the things become serious, you get an engineer involved. That is what I'm trying to say. So not to worry, because I have friends who are staying in condo near a huge land and whatever. I always tell them that not to worry if you had done all the preventive measure and the maintenance.
Yeah, this is when the JMB needs to be very proactive as well. They need to take into account that things like this can happen, may happen, and not just leave it to fate and things like that. And
when in instances where they are not sure, like what Dr. Tao was saying, hey, why is this thing? We have not experienced this before, cracks and all that. Engage an expert, because not many people, because of course there is guideline for laymen, but if you actually starts to become suspicious of something that you had not seen before, like, for example, water seepage coming out, for example, it must be a broken pipe somewhere, and that is a killer. So if slopes and water pipe, they don't go hand in hand. They are not friends.
You better to put it on top, lah.
You see, the movement. A lot of people say, what caused the pipe to actually leak? Is the slope movement. They say it's the slope movement that caused the pipe leak. And the pipe, people in the water business say, hey, it's your slope that actually caused our pipe to move. But the more the slope move, the worse the leakage become, and they're working hand in hand to cause a bigger problem.
It's like the chicken and egg story,
correct.
Yeah.
So
doesn't matter which comes first,
but
it has already happened, and what do you do with it?
Yeah, correct.
So when we talk about the layman, right? So let's just make it a simple, like super quick for our listeners. What do they look out for? Doctor?
For me, number one, if you have trees on the slope, if the trees start to tilt in the way that is not their normal way, that means tree grow in a certain way, every day you look at and one day it start to tilt, that is a serious sign. Or, slopes, or retaining wall, there are holes. People call it whip hole, but for layman, just hole. If the water, just clean water coming out, it's okay. That means it's normal, it's supposed to work that way. But if you start to see silt coming out, sand coming out, muddy, and then it flow, and then after that it deposit onto the, let's say a wall here, it deposit here. That is a sign that some erosion are taking place.
Behind the
some
wall.
things are moving, causing the silt to come up. So these are second sign.
More apparent would be, the slope started to, the retaining wall starts to be leaning as well. Which you had not experienced before, maybe.
Correct.
But, this morning I got up, that wall doesn't seem right. Then you must get an expert to look at it. Unusual water coming out from the slope. Those are the signs that the slope is actually giving way. So those are some of the important things to look for.
Okay.
Lately, I think in Ampang area, there are some rock slide and whatever. So for that example, let's say sometimes you see some small rock coming down. One rock is okay, but there are few rocks and 3 rocks. And that means something big is going to happen. They always, most of the time, there are some signs. It's only thing people would not aware of it. But by having awareness, maybe you say, okay, I better don't park near here, or they condone off, then get someone, the authority to come and check. So all these things, what we hope today is to, public should participate because it's your own property, it's your own life, and you should insist that, let's say the committee that do that, hey, tell us, I spend this money every month, I pay. Show us what do you do with the slope around this.
Yes, exactly.
Show us evidence. Don't just tell us you do. So a normal layman guide for slope inspection for JMG is actually with photographic. And they tell you I patch it and what date. So it's just like you maintain to paint the wall. When you paint the wall, why you paint the wall? So things like that. So that you assured that you stay in the place where the committee take care of place are doing their job. Then I would believe the safety will increase a lot to prevent landslide.
And this is because we now live in an environment, in an era where there's a lot of strata titles, where there is a joint management body.
Correct.
Like not only for condominiums, there's a lot of housing projects now that are also coming up with strata titles. So, Dato, would you just like to tell them, as to our listeners, anyone who's living within a strata title where the JMB has the final say, what are their rights? What do they say or do if they live in an environment where a hilly slope site is a part of the environment itself?
Because you pay very high cost for maintenance and security, you should insist the JMB to carry it out. If you live on a hill slope, show me what are the regime or the scheme that you actually implement to ensure safety of of all residents. You as one of the residents should not stay quiet. You should insist JMBs to be able to
Hold them accountable.
Do the necessary. If you cannot engage someone to do it, because they have a lot of their contribution that goes to sinking fund and all that. If you look at the most of the landslide historically, it happens. Some of the major landslide, it happens in December. Towards the end of December or early January, that's the worst part or worst time of the year, because the ground is almost fully saturated because of
Constant rainfall.
Weeks of constant and prolonged rainfall. And this actually, like I said earlier, they have been pounding the slopes over the previous years where it had been inundated. Slopes that were not taken care of, broken drains and culverts, where water is supposed to be channeled to a safe place. Now what you're doing is you're collecting water from a big area, and when there's a broken drain, you are actually concentrating all that water to one place.
Yeah.
So how
like a pressure jet.
Would be? So it's having a broken drain is worse than having no drains at all.
True.
Because you are taking water from a big place and putting it in one place. So
creating a point of failure.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Dato, before we end for today, any final words for our listeners?
Like I said earlier, please remember this. Learn, monitor, maintain, and report.
All right.
If you get that, you should be in a safe hand.
Remember, as Malaysian citizens, we have a voice, and that voice can be used. Dr. Tan, before we end, anything else that you'd like to add for our listeners?
I would say I concur with Dato Asbi. Like also the yourself, KG had mentioned, preventive. Prevent better than mitigate.
All right. Okay, thank you so much, gentlemen. An absolute pleasure talking to the both of you today. And hopefully we'll have the Board of Engineers on tracks again, because I think there's a lot more that we can talk about other than just landslides, because the Board of Engineers has their fingers everywhere.
This is one of the public awareness programs,
Yes, I
which is
understand.
reaching out to the public.
So we'll be more than glad to have your team up here in the future again. I'm pretty sure your PR person can work with that. And with that, thank you so much, and see you guys soon. And for our listeners, learn, maintain,
Learn, monitor,
Monitor.
maintain, and report.
and report. LMMR. All right. With that, Doctor, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
KG, for
Bye-bye.
joining us. Thank you.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we had Dato Engineer Dr. Mohd Asbi, Othman, who's the Engineer of the Board of Engineers Malaysia, and also Engineer Dr. Tan Yean Chin, who's also a committee member with the Board of Engineers Malaysia, talking about landslides today and the dangers of it. So, guys, make sure that you do your due diligence and make sure that if there's something going wrong around your place, report it and get it repaired. All right. Right now, more music coming away, and we will be back in the next hour. In the next hour, we will be talking to Muhammad Faisal bin Abdul Hamid, who's a Senior Assistant Director with the National Disaster Management Agency, NADMA. We're going to be talking about the monsoon alert. How ready are we? Right on Tracks.